All right, y'all. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J is live. We in the building. We are about to get into a fabulous show. I got a full crew in the room ready to give y'all the flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio. We got a couple of questions we're going to ask. One is when news isn't news. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter. An NBA player said something incredibly stupid. So did a Hall of Fame legendary professional wrestler. He said something stupid too. And we're going to talk about all the stupidness right here on the show. And you know, hashtag Marcus J is live right now.
Yeah. It's about that time. It's about that time to get yeah.
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
If they lying,
then they must be half stepping.
ain't no half stepping with Marcus J is live. We're back in the building. Be down with us tonight at 804-402-2893 to be a part of the flagship show right here, live from the Den of Legacy Internet Radio. Thank y'all, everybody that's tuned in to us on TuneIn. We appreciate you going into your smartphone, tablet, iPhone, whatever your application is, and pulling up the TuneIn application to listen to the flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio that you hear every single Monday night at 7 p.m. until we finish. And we appreciate those folks that are listening to us on YouTube during our replays in the podcast form. It's because of you guys that we continue to do this. Our show is sponsored by Live Action Captions, Free Spirit Enterprises, and our brand new sponsor, JT Lewis Insurance, which you'll hear a spot from each of them as we progress throughout the show. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and get the crew in here and introduce them. Of course, you hear from this sister every single fourth Monday. She brings us the relationship segment, and she also brings a whole lot of character. And tonight, she's the only lady, at least for now. So she brings the femininity as well. I got my little sister, Dating Pool Divas, up in this joint.
Hey, what's going on?
Chilling. How you?
I'm good. I'm good.
You all right?
Okay week. All right. I hung in there. How about you?
You hung in there? Oh, I'm good. I didn't cuss nobody out today.
Well, that's always a good thing.
Yeah, man. Like nobody. Well, I was off and I was home most of the day, so that might have something to do with it.
Okay. You didn't cuss yourself out?
Well, I mean, I did kind of annoy myself one time. Then I'll tell you offline because I don't need these people that's listening to us to be all in my business. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good. I had a good day, good week, so I appreciate it. I'll share my weekend later on in the show. But, of course, you heard him help me out on the intro. You hear him time to time joining us here on the flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio. He is the host of the Green Room version 2.0 with Jay Grizzy and the First Lady Lissa P. I got my brother Jay Grizzy Green is up in this joint, man. It's good to see you. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? I'm trying to get what's that? It's not. Oh, there we go. I'm trying to get my social media tight. You know, I'm trying to tweet and while you're doing the intro, tweet and Facebook the show.
You trying to let the world know,
because you know how often my bad habit of promoting anything.
Yeah, you're terrible at it.
Me or anything.
Can I put it out there?
Oh, totally put it out there.
You're terrible at it.
Yeah. So it's taken me how long now? How long have we been on the air now?
Almost 4 years.
Right, for this show.
For the Legacy Internet Radio.
No, just particular show tonight.
Tonight.
We running
5 minutes and 26 seconds.
That's how long it took me to get this Facebook status. So, I'm struggling with it, but I had because I know you got a lot to talk about, and I was so honored and glad that you asked me to participate in tonight's show. So I'm getting it out there on my Facebook, so all my friends, make sure you check the @ and the hashtags and everything else. Make sure y'all check out Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J. Right now, we here until he say we finish, so appreciate it, bro.
All right, well, thank you, man. I appreciate the kind words that you always appear to, as you always appear to do for me, as I do for you. That's my brother. That's my sister across the table. It's a family affair up in here, so I appreciate it. So, y'all ready to get to business, man?
I'm ready.
Oh, yeah, we ready.
Well, this first story, you know, we christened the show that is socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. And we typically don't do a whole lot of sports anymore, and we're going to keep with that. However, there was a story that broke on Friday that immediately, when I saw the story, as Grizzy will tell you, when I saw the story, the first thing I did was what, Grizz? What was the first thing I did when I saw the story? I reached out to
all the wrestling fans. Brother.
Yeah, man, I had to. And I want to dive in on this one after you and I kind of give our initial statements. I'm not sure, Diva, how much you know about this one. I know you're not that much into pro wrestling.
Oh, I grew up on the WWF.
I know you did, but we've had conversations where you roll your eyes at me about watching it now. So I don't know if you have, then great. That's even better. But in 1984, January of 1984, Terry Bollea, known by his kayfabe name, Hulk Hogan, a name that was given to him by Vincent McMahon Sr., right, because he was so big, so that's how he got Hulk. And he got Hogan because he figured that he should have a nice Irish name, or whatever Hogan.
It is Irish now.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't look Irish. He's a good old redneck, by the way.
Yeah, from Tampa, Florida.
From Tampa, Florida, right?
From Tampa, Florida.
How they pulled that off, I do not know.
From Venice Beach, California. But anyway, we all were captivated by that. I was 9 years old. I had just started watching wrestling, and to be honest with you, the sight of Hulk Hogan, as recently as last Thursday before this news
still got
broke,
you geeked?
it was still getting me a little bit in my feelings
right.
about, because I got back into pro wrestling recently.
Right.
And so to hear the story, I have very interesting feelings about it. But to set it up for those folks who are like, can you just get to the point? Well, the point is this. Hulk Hogan is a legendary wrestler. Most people don't know wrestling, but they know who Hulk Hogan is. He made movies. He is by far the most famous, most recognizable pro wrestler in the world. Well, he's in trouble right now, not necessarily because of what we're going to get to. He's in trouble because he'd done a sex tape.
True.
And the sex tape that he had done
has been out a while.
It's been out a while, but there's some litigation going on around it, and I'm pretty
sure. Did you see the sex tape?
Wrong. Thankfully, I did not see the sex tape. But from what I understand, isn't it with his daughter Brooke's friend or something like that?
Well, it was the one I saw was with what was the radio DJ, the terrestrial radio DJ, Cool Bubba something.
Yeah.
And it was his wife.
Okay.
So the guy, the radio host that he was allegedly friends with, was the one who threatened to release it or sue and all of that, and he had more and more stuff he just didn't release, probably from an injunction or whatever.
Okay.
And then finally all of this comes out. But again, not to excuse, because I'm sure everybody's going to have an opinion on this, we preface this by saying this was 8 years ago, 7?
Okay. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was like 8, 9 years, something like that. And I'm glad you set it up that way, because you know it way better, that piece of it way better than I do. As far as the piece that, well, first of all, sex tape's one thing.
Right.
It's what happened during the sex tape that is coming up now. Apparently, after having sex with the girl, he's talking to her, or the woman, and they're talking, and the subject of Hulk Hogan's daughter, Brooke, comes up. And many of us know who Brooke is from Hogan Knows Best, and from her just kind of being a terrible singer. And one of the things that he said, and this is a quote, and I'm not going to use all of the words because it's very graphic, and the two main words are the two main words that I've chosen to not use on the show, but quote, I'd rather she was going to F some N-word. I'd rather her marry an 8-foot tall N-word worth $100 million, like a basketball player. I guess we're all a little racist. Effing N-word. The whole point of this that has come up is that WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment, formerly known as World Wrestling Federation, has scrubbed Hogan from several online platforms, according to Wrestling Inc. His profile was removed from the alumni section of WWE's website. Related merchandise was removed from his online shop. Hogan was removed from the cast listing for Tough Enough, which is a WWE-produced reality series that airs live on Tuesdays. Quote, WWE terminated his contract with Terry Bollea, also known as Hulk Hogan, said in a statement from WWE. WWE is committed to embracing and celebrating individuals from all backgrounds, as demonstrated by their diversity of our employees, performers, and fans worldwide. Hogan followed with a boilerplate apology later Friday. I'm getting this from the NewYorkPost.com, by the way. Quote, 8 years ago. Yeah, every day. 8 years ago, I used offensive language during a conversation. It was unacceptable for me to have used that offensive language. There is no excuse for it, and I apologize for having done it. This is what he said. This is not who I am. I believe very strongly that every person in the world is important and should not be treated differently based on race, gender orientation, religious beliefs, or otherwise. I'm disappointed with myself that I use that language and it's offensive and inconsistent with my own beliefs, end quote. So I wanted to get that out, Grizz. Obviously, there's more, and I don't really think that we need to get that much in the other stuff because I didn't bring you in here to talk about sex tape. You know what I brought you in here to talk about?
That's for the green room. That's
for the green room, yeah. if we jumpstart the green room, we'll definitely have that conversation. But you know I brought you in here to talk about the F and N word,
yeah,
and that piece of the conversation. So pick up there. Any thoughts you may have had, we'll round table it here.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Yeah, man. Boy, I swear, if you do that whole piece in character, I'm going to lose it.
I couldn't. Yeah. I possibly couldn't because the first of all, I wasn't shocked because as a wrestling fan, I know Hulk Hogan, where he came from, how he came up in the wrestling game. He first was in Tampa, Florida. And anybody's been to Tampa, Florida. You know, it's Florida, but it's still a good old, if Tampa especially, is a good old boy town. You know, and even though he put on this persona, I never these days put anything past anybody. Speaking specifically to him using a word, the main thing that him, Michael Richards, the Kramer character from Seinfeld, any other Caucasian or white celebrity or somebody that gets caught out there, I'm trying to think, Paula Dean, these people, I am not shocked and I'm never surprised, you know, and it's different. Being that I grew up in the South all of my life, honestly, you're never going to hear a racial term directly to your face. Have you, Charisma?
No.
Have you ever had, and both of us are from the South,
right?
Have you ever had a Caucasian, as an adult or even as a child, in interaction, face-to-face interaction, someone come straight out and call you the N-word straight to your face?
No.
Never have.
Straight to my face, no.
You know, but why is it that we as African Americans know, even though we might not have heard it directly to us, know that white people say that when they're in their four walls? We just know. You know, so doesn't matter if it's Hulk Hogan or Billy the Kid, you know, for them to come out and say it and get caught, I think the firestorm it's on tape. They heard them, you know, and the celebrity of it all. Now, when I say I'm not surprised, that doesn't mean I condone it. I mean, everybody that listens to Legacy and that radio and listen to Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J and was listening to the Green Room know that I used to drop the N-bomb a lot. I was a work in progress. It was just like Mark was a Jehovah's Witness and he was trying to convert me. You know what I'm saying? And now that I've gotten used to not saying it, and I'm definitely more conscious, I have to thank Marcus for that, you know, it still doesn't surprise me to hear white people say the N-word. That word is never going to go away in white people's minds. I thought I would. Big shout out to our brother Rube, you know. But Rube, what do you call it, Marcus? The natural selection. They're not gonna take that out of their vocabulary. It's just there, you know. You know, if you got Dylan Roofs of the world, and you got the internet and all of this stuff. I'm sure the internet goes crazy. I don't go into racial chat rooms, and I really don't talk to white people about race. I was here a couple weeks ago and we had the racial discussion. I was like, look, the discussion does not have to be between Hulk Hogan and Pistol Pez Watley, if anybody know who he is. The discussion has to be between, Hulk Hogan and his other white brethren on why he feel like he could still, in 2015, drop the N-bomb. And big shout out to Booker T, Booker T, wrestler, because he's infamously on the internet known for saying, Hulk Hogan, we coming for you.
That might have been the funniest. And I'm one who never ever uses.
But that was the funniest way of using it.
I'll be honest with you. If you somebody listening, I'm not gonna play it because for time constraints, not for any other reason, but for time constraints, I'm not gonna play it. But if you ever have a chance to Google and look at, it's a 10-second clip. It's not long at all. But if you're a wrestling fan, Google Booker T calls Hulk Hogan the N-word. I guarantee you it is absolutely worth your time. Diva, listening to the commentary that we have here on professional wrestling and Hulk Hogan. First time I think I've ever talked about Hulk Hogan on Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J, which is live from the Den of Legacy and at Radio. What's your thoughts?
Well, I guess while you were reading the story, I just was like, okay, here's another person, that came out and then said the N-word. I mean, it's like, I agree with Jay Grizzly. It's not a big shock. It's almost like I would rather them be straightforward and overt than to keep it hidden and not know what's going on, and then, they're wearing a hood or something like that and trying to kill somebody. So, I mean, I personally don't have a problem with it, even though, it is an offensive word. I would rather you come straight out and say that than to keep it under wraps. I think you're my friend. I think you're my coworker. I think you are somebody I can, trust and rely on. And meanwhile, you're thinking of me in that light. So, honesty.
I look at it like this, man. Well, first of all, let me just kind of mention a couple of the high-profile names. Dennis Rodman, George Foreman, Roddy Piper, Ric Flair have all come out in support. 2 black guys and 2 white guys have come out who have come out in support of Hulk Hogan using the word. I had a debate yesterday.
Hold on. I'm just going to make sure you said that right. They came out in support of him using the word?
Yeah. Well, they not in support of him using the word.
Oh, okay.
But in support of him as a man, as a person,
okay. Saying he's forgivable.
Saying that, particularly Dennis Rodman and George Foreman, because they're brothers, both came out and said, look, man, I know this guy. He ain't no racist. He got caught up saying what he said, but he ain't no racist. And I want to pose the question to you both, because I got into this debate yesterday with our brother, Mr. LP Steven Sykes, who hosts in Live and Radio every single Tuesday here in these same airwaves of Legacy Internet Radio. You need to check him out because he's got a lot of interesting conversation that he has on that show. But his position, and I feel okay paraphrasing his position, he said that black people give white people the license to use the word because of how frequently and how casually we use the word. And I'll share with you what my response to that was in a minute. But when I look at what Hulk Hogan did and said, I mean, it was something he did and he said 8 years ago. He's had a lot of time in WWE since then. He's had a lot of time in TNA, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling organization since then. He's done a lot of things, some of which can be considered good, some of which can be considered not so good. There's a thing called the statute of limitations, and I think, in my personal opinion, this is just my personal opinion, you have the right to change your mind about things. You have the right to change your opinion about things. There are people who used to be Democrats that have become Republicans and vice versa, and so at the core of who you are, you ultimately are who you are. You're a 50-year-old man. You kind of are who you are
61.
When you're 50. Well, he was 50 when he said that.
He said it, yeah.
So do I think that he has some racist tendencies? Who knows? I don't know that I really care about it. Honestly, when I look at how WWE tried to erase his existence in memory, I personally think that's going way too far. I think that's going way too far, because I think even though he said a word that is very offensive, at the end of the day, there would be no WWE as we know it without the the contributions of Terry Bollea and Hulk Hogan.
Brother.
And so for you to act like he don't exist because he said something stupid and offensive, I think is going a little bit too far. Now, some would take me to task because of some of the things that I've said before and some of the positions that I've taken before, and that's fine. We can go there. But like you said, Grizz, I don't get shocked by anybody using that word any longer. I just don't. And what I said to Mr. LP Steven Sykes when he said that black people give white people the license to use the word because of how frequently we used it, I called BS on that because white people was calling us that to try to upset us long before we took it on.
Exactly.
And they're going to continue to do it even if we end up deciding to not use the word.
If we drop it from our lexicon,
they're still
going to say it in their household at the dinner table.
Yeah, I mean, because the truth of the matter is every single human being on the planet, except for maybe a couple of popes and a cardinal and maybe somebody's granny who's real, real sweet, has said something behind closed doors they don't want to get caught, caught on tape.
True.
You know what I mean? And so if everybody we know got caught on tape saying something crazy, saying something offensive, whether it be racial, religiously, sexuality, anything like that, would you want to be put on blast, lose your job, and all that kind of stuff? I suppose it's possible, and obviously it is because this is what happened to Hulk Hogan. But I'm not defending them.
No, we can't. We're not going to defend
them. But I'm just saying I think WWE went too far.
It's dubious that that the WWE did that because all it does, it draws more attention to them because everybody's saying now what happened to Hulk Hogan, and then so if somebody's a diehard Hulk Hogan fan, right, and they go to WWE.com right now looking up Hulk Hogan and they don't see him, the first thing they're going to say is, what happened to Hulk Hogan? Then they're going to Google it, and then the next thing you know, they're going to see him calling everybody brother. So that's... I mean, I do understand what the WWE did because they're a multi-billion publicly traded company. From a business standpoint, you can't be associated or stand close to anybody. But the hypocrisy of wrestling in and of itself, there were stories about Ole Anderson and Georgia Championship Wrestling, who it was notoriously hard and racist towards black wrestlers back in the day. But this was in the early 80s, late 70s, and you didn't hear about WCW taking off or getting rid of Rocky King, or I'm trying to think of Pistol Pez Watley. I'm trying to think of all the other names just to show my wrestling knowledge. But so I mean, it's unfortunate. I'm not surprised. Hulk Hogan, we coming for you.
If you are a fan of wrestling and you've paid attention, I can tell you as time specifically when Vince McMahon used that very word on the air.
Was it the John Cena?
It was the John Cena thing. And for those folks who don't know, John Cena is kind of a takeoff of maybe Mark and Marky and the Funky Bunch.
Yep.
If you remember, when Mark Wahlberg was a rapper, that whole Good Vibrations, that kind of vibe. John Cena is a wrestler who kind of takes off of that. And we obviously know, even though Marky Mark and John Cena are white guys, with them being very comfortable in black culture, no one would be shocked if they used the phrase. Yeah, exactly. No one would be surprised that if they used the word. We may not like it, but we wouldn't be surprised. And Vince McMahon, in a skit with John Cena, walks up to him and says, "Yo, what's up, my N-word?" to John Cena.
And then walks by Booker T.
And walked right past Booker T.
Who is a black wrestler.
Booker T said,
Tell
me he did not
I mean, it's they use it entertainment wise. I mean, that's why I'm talking about the hypocrisy of it. So you're right. They did go a little bit too much with the whole removal of Hulk Hogan and things of that nature. They don't do that for folks who have been found abusing drugs in that corporation. Even though they have the policy is stiffened up and everything, but that's another story when it comes to pro wrestling. But I think it's just they went overboard, sort of like the NFL is doing with Tom Brady, 4 games, whatever. Him saying something 8 years ago and it coming out now. I don't feel bad for him. And nothing I can say because Hulk Hogan, you was probably saying that way before it got on the air and people was knowing it. So you just letting everybody know you. And let me say this: if we get close to this segment wrapping up, and I'm gonna let Sheikah, Charisma. I'm sorry. I do that every time, don't I?
New name every.
Yeah, you have a new name. Let me let Charisma get in on this, but it made me forget my point now. Hold on. It don't. Go ahead, take it away, Sheikah.
Okay, Sheikah. I mean, I don't have a whole lot more to say about this. I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised. And you were just saying that he's probably said it in the past. He probably has said it recently. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Don't think that he isn't still. He might be more careful where he says it. You know, I don't know how I, got to that point where it was out. You said because of that sex tape, that's how it came out. I mean, so he's probably careful not to let it slip out in front of people, but he still says it. I mean, he's just being who he is.
Do we care though? I mean, do we really care anymore when white people say the N-word? I mean, or black people for that matter, because
I care more that a black person says it now than a white person does.
You get to that point.
I got it to that point because I used to abuse it so much that now when I hear other, especially younger people, just dropping it left and right, I'm just like, really, you're overkilling it, bro. you overkill it. There's other words you could say like brother, I
have a question.
Sure.
Do you guys think that using the word, I guess, kind of like desensitizes people and makes it lose power or whatever? Do you think that it's not as potent a word as it was back in the 50s?
As a former N-word user, it took on a whole new I won't say took on a whole new meaning, but it was like it became the pronoun for everything that I saw that I couldn't put a word to quickly enough. So it became a replacement pronoun for everything. And when I said to myself, well, I'm using that as just a replacement pronoun for everything. I mean, everything, and I'm doing it a bit too much.
Right.
So it doesn't matter. Like I said, it does matter when it's coming from African Americans, and I hear that, and I'm just like, really? Now, the only time I'd be giving people passes, our people, is when something go down. Like if you're on a plane and the plane is shaking, if a lightning bolt was to strike like right here, not to say that it would, like something like that, like in the heat of the moment type stuff. I'm like, yo, anything, because sometimes old habits come up with, when something traumatic or something crazy like that happens. But just in regular everyday conversation and in your lexicon and your vocabulary, it's a rap. And Hulk Hogan should have made it a rap. Hopefully please don't make him go to like some sensitivity training or nothing like that. It's just they placate us with all of that crap, and I'm tired of it. I don't like that.
Nobody cares with it. I mean, ultimately, he said it. They fired him for it. I think that there definitely should have been some sort of punishment for him because he is the face of that company, and he is a legendary figure in that company. But my personal opinion is because he is a legendary figure in that company, that should have garnered him a little bit of favor.
Yeah, it was quick with
because they were very quick and swift, and I think it was very severe. And like I said, I know I'm gonna catch some hits for it, but it is what it is. I'll be happy to debate
what hits will you think?
I know that there are some folks that would think that the WWE did the right thing by firing him for offending in theory, a whole race. But me personally, I wasn't personally offended by that.
Right.
I wasn't personally offended by it. I thought it was, it is what it is. I'm just not shocked by it. I'm not shocked by white people when they by themselves and they think nobody's going to hear them using the N-word. I don't trip off of that. It was the same thing with Donald Sterling. Now, I got into a debate with somebody with Donald Sterling. The difference with me and Donald Sterling and Hulk Hogan is Donald Sterling had the power to affect people's lives and livelihoods because he owned a sports team. Hulk Hogan is an employee who said something stupid on tape after sex.
And he's a well-off person. I mean, he's got other business ventures. He ain't gonna miss the WWE's money for sure. But I'm curious, and just so that we are fair and balanced, like they say, Have we ever had a Caucasian on Ain't No Half Steppin'? Because I've never been in here with a Caucasian on the air.
I don't think that we have had one in the room. I have invited countless.
Why won't they come?
They can come if they want to come. I think what ends up happening, honestly, I think people who, and I don't even think it's a black and white thing, because I've debated with conservative black people who
they exist.
They do exist, and I think that oftentimes they just don't like to get into a discussion where it could rile you up and get feelings going. Which is the reason why I always say everything goes on this show.
Right.
We'll talk about religion. We'll talk about race. We'll talk about sexuality and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm gonna say I love you and keep it moving at the end of it, because that's how I do. If you want to get in your feelings because I said something that you don't like, then this ain't the show for you.
I'm requesting if I can, Marcus J. I'm requesting a very strong-willed white individual, male or female, 2 or 3 if it doesn't matter. I want to have an honest conversation, because right now what we have, and not just Legacy Internet Radio and Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J, but what we are having is conversations amongst ourselves. And honestly, the only thing I can do is perceive that I'm assuming I know some of y'all white folk out there don't give 2 kumquats about black people and what black people think, and that's okay, and honestly, if you feel that way, there are a lot of outlets for you all to stop hiding behind the social media and stuff like that, and leaving your comments and trolling and everything like that. There's a forum for us to sit down and have conversations and debates. I like a lively debate, and at the end of the day, you gonna walk out here. You on the south side, but you gonna walk out here okay.
With that, I don't even think it's a black or white thing. I think it's a culture thing, because people today are more comfortable being a punk behind a keyboard than they are having a discussion. I'll give you an example. I'll give you 2 quick ones. I put a post out today that, in my mind, I was looking for somebody white and conservative to respond to, and what the post was, I have not seen, you hear all of this, President Obama is the worst president of all time and all that kind of stuff, but you don't really hear any concrete facts as to why. So I put a post out, and I made a point of trying to keep emotion out of it and saying, let's talk about it. And you know who responded? Our brother. And I've been going back and forth with this brother. He makes great points.
This the conservative brother?
He's not a conservative brother.
I was gonna say.
He's not a conservative brother, but he's a well-read, very articulate, intellectual brother who made some very good points in opposition to how great President Obama is. And when you read his position, you can't really, you could debate him. Of course, you can debate anybody, but he's making some very strong points against how great the president is. And if you want to go and read it, it's on my wall, listeners, feel free to go and do that. I also have a cousin of mine, a white female who married in, who, we love her like a sister because she is our sister and our cousin, but she is a southern white female who sees no problem with the Confederate flag. So she and I have had, and she married a black man, right? How does that even happen? It exists, and we can debate that later. But the point is, she and I have the best talks, because I go in and she goes in. And at the end,
but she's wrong,
Well, she doesn't think she is, but that's the whole. But see, that's the point. Right. That's the point.
You can sit there and have the conversation.
We can have the conversation.
We'll have to get her on the show.
One day, I'm efforting that.
Yeah. Shout out to Marcus's. Is it an in-law?
It's a cousin.
It's a cousin. A cousin-in-law of some sort. Big shout out to you.
She married my cousin. Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J, live from the den of Legacy Internet Radio. Heard here every single Monday night at 7 p.m. You can listen to us on TuneIn, or you can listen to the podcast later on YouTube, as all of our shows are archived there. Anything that we've done in the past several years, you can go and listen. We've talked about pretty much anything that has been on the news and in social media. We've touched it. So I want to move on. Diva, I want you in on this one first.
Okay.
I made a point of, when I teased this, of not adding anybody's name in particular, but there is someone who I was thinking about when I kind of alluded to this, and I'm wondering if your thoughts are going to go to that person. But my question was, when news isn't news, what are we to do? There's a lot going on in social media with regards to, and I don't even know these people because I don't listen to them, but something about Meek Mill and Drake is filling up my timeline. I really couldn't care less about Meek Mill and Drake when we got Sandra Bland going on, which we'll talk about later on. Right. And we got, you know, all of this stuff going on, and people are consumed with Meek Mill and Drake. And I don't even know who Meek Mill is, and unfortunately, I do know who Drake is. And so they're fighting with each other. They are news.
You don't have your ear to the streets, Marcus.
Meek Mill is Nicki Minaj's man.
I couldn't
care less. You see his face?
Possibly care less. Really, I couldn't care less.
I don't care.
And you know who else?
It's like National Enquirer.
But I don't care about that. And you know who else I wonder about who is not news? Who? I'm gonna take a hit for this.
What's that?
Bobbi Kristina ain't news, man. It's not. It's not news.
Sad.
It's very sad. It's very, very sad. It's very, very sad. And I understand who her mom is and who her dad is, and I get that. But
what news isn't sad?
But the thing is, I mean, the way that all of these people flooded with Facebook as if to say that they were the only ones putting it out there. Like, everybody has to break that news first.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And it's just, it got to the point where it got a little weird. It got a little.
But I mean, that's what it tells you is what it tells me when I saw it. And I saw it first thing this morning. That and more Nicki Minaj, Drake, and Meek Mill's information is, and since the dawn of social media, what I would say is around 2006, 5, somewhere around there, the cusp with MySpace now, is that everybody has a chance everybody feels validated by their 15 minutes of fame and/or comments. That social media gives everybody validation on that platform, and I'm here to tell you that just because you got an opinion or a comment, it doesn't, like Marcus said, I could care less what your comment is or what your opinion is on social media if you're not using it at this stage in the game for something positive, it's something educational, something informative. It's always trips me out about media, and that's what social media is, of course, is that in every form of media, when they first discovered the motion picture, like Edison or light, the first thing you think we did as Americans did. What's the first thing you think? You want to take a chance? Take a look? What did we do with that media?
We probably ran with it, tried to tell everybody. I don't know.
What did we do when we discovered light motion picture? As a country, as Americans.
We used it?
To do what?
To make fun of people, probably.
Make porn.
Oh,
and I
wasn't gonna guess that.
No. My point is to make porn or make pornographic images. That was one of the first big booming things before DW or FW, whatever, the Birth of a Nation and things like that. They were making pornographic snuff movies, stag movies when that came out. My point is that there's always been in America a slant towards the salacious, the slant towards the ignorant, the slant towards the dumbness, the dumbing down effect that it has on a lot of people. It took me a while. Now, don't get me wrong, I still get dumbed down a little bit by it. And the reason is that I like a little, like I said, National Enquirer in my life. When JR got shot, everybody tuned in the next week to find out who the hell shot JR. I'm sure that was in 1980. There was we probably had hostages in Iran, and black people probably getting beat over the head with a billy club in Memphis or something like that. But they wanted to know who shot JR. So that's just the culture that we live in, and there's always going to be a percentage of people who, such as Marcus J, and then there's other peoples of the ilk that just say, I can't get with it. And so it's like a channel. You just got to find the right channel to tune into. And right now, there's a lot more channels on the cable dial for this Nicki and Drake and Hulk Hogan. We coming for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think, at the risk of contradicting myself with regards to bringing up Bobby Chris, because there are some folks that would feel the same way about Hulk Hogan.
Right.
And we spent 23 minutes on it.
Right.
But my thing is, you know, we know who she is. It's very sad that she isn't here anymore. And I think that we have a mob mentality with having to be the first to report tragedy and negativity and all of that kind of stuff. You know, the fact that she died almost identically to her mom and all that kind of stuff. And the whole thing about some folks, be honest with you, are famous for being stupid. Because, quite frankly, she was famous for partly because of mostly because of who her parents were. But then she got kind of famous on her own for being stupid and doing stupid things. And, you know, we talk about Paris Hilton, and who we don't hear much from anymore, thankfully, and the Kardashians and the Braxtons and all of these kind of people. I guess I bring this up, and Bobbi Chris was what made me think about it. I don't mean to attack her. She's not here anymore, and that's understandable how some folks would be upset about me using her as my launching pad to get on the soapbox about this. But why we got to be making people that's famous for dumb shit? Like, really? I mean, Diva, help me out, man. I mean, I get folks who might not like that I used her as the launching pad. I got you, and that's well founded and understandable. But we're here now.
Right. Well, I will say this, I guess, against your point a little bit. And I agree with you, but I get caught up in that. You know what I'm saying? Just like you, Jay Grizzly. I get caught up in it because I think it takes you out of the monotony.
Takes you out of your life. Your life is not as crappy as somebody else's could be.
Whatever you're going through, you know, this stuff we see on the news is like way 10 times seems to be 10 times worse. And I always say that social media is kind of like a bad drug.
Oh, yeah.
It's like crack. It's like it's not good for you.
It's worse than crack because you can heal from crack.
Right.
You know, you come back from that.
You keep going back to it every day, and sometimes I have to force myself, turn off Facebook, turn it off, don't go back on there, and I'll still end up back on there. You know, it's crazy, but I think what's important is that people are able to disseminate, you know, what's real life for you and what's social media. You know what I'm saying? And two, I thought we were going to bring this up. All of the falsities that are on social media. They killed this girl off like months ago.
Yeah.
You know, so they put a lot of stuff on Facebook that's not even true.
It's on the Bobbi Chris thing. First of all, any loss of life is horrible.
Yes, it is.
Any loss of life. And we all know a legacy. We had a string over the last couple of weeks or months, like tragedies, loss of friends, and things like that. So, you know, prayers go out to the family of that has lost someone recently, not just Bobbi, Kristina, but anybody that has lost a loved one. Our prayers and thoughts go out to you. Now, when it comes to the celebrity part of it, I mean, it's just morbid. It's morbid in a way because after a while, I can't. You know, like after I heard it this morning getting ready for work, I just was ignoring it, you know, because I got a child and I got children and I don't want to hear it. The same thing when her mother passed. It doesn't matter. If somebody passed that influenced me, I'm thinking of, you know, Michael Jackson, that day, Michael Jackson. But that was more of a celebration, though, because when I left work after I heard Michael Jackson had passed, boy, that music.
I mean, we were all in our feelings behind that.
Right, right. You know, so, yeah, I don't know, like, I've experienced a little bit, just a little bit, and when I say a little bit, meaning like I was the Pluto and the whole entertainment industry was the sun. I was Pluto when I was in the comedy world in regards to that. And I saw how people change when they see that you kind of are doing something as far as celebrity or being one. Like, sometimes you don't change. Some people, like, I didn't meet too many celebrities that didn't seem like they were close, and I wasn't close enough to them to know who they were. But it's not that you change as much. It's just that it's almost like they call it a fishbowl, where people are sitting down and everybody, like, all the eyes are looking at you when they weren't looking at you before, and so you kind of feel a certain kind of way about it. It's like, what is going on here, you know?
Nah, I can dig it. Ain't no half stepping on Marcus J. Live from the Den. Legacy Internet Radio, get some shout outs here. Our sister Michelle K is listening. She said, "What's up to the fam?"
You get her shirt?
Yeah, she's got a shirt. And our brother K Dub is traveling for his job, and he wanted to make sure that he shouted out Kansas. He's in Kansas right now, and he's shouting us out from Kansas. So make sure that you don't put your hood on and stay in the house when it gets dark out. And if the police pull you over, say, "I am reaching in my pocket for my license."
If the police pull you over in Kansas, K-Dub.
I don't want to be no accident out this joint. Inside joke for my brother K-Dub. Ain't no ass stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den. Legacy Internet Radio. We're going to take our first break of the night, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Sandra Bland, and we're going to talk, does Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Mattering? I got the crew and you. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J. Be back in a few minutes.